Hello friends, welcome to Edspot. We're gonna start class 6 geography and CRT. So before we actually begin, if you are new to this channel, do subscribe it and hit the notification bell to all so you can get notification for every video we upload. So without any further ado, let's get started. So the first chapter is Earth in the solar system. If you see friends, what a treat it is to observe the sky after dusk. One might first catch sight of one or two dazzling stars in the sky. You will soon notice the number rising. You can no longer count them. The entire sky gets covered in tiny glowing objects, some bright and some dull. The sky appears to be covered in diamonds. All of them seem to be blinking, but if you pay close attention to them, you'll see that some of them don't twinkle as much as others do. They simply glow without flickering, just like the moon. On the majority of these days, you may also see the moon in addition to these dazzling objects. However, it might show up at various times, in various shapes and in various locations. The full moon only appears around once every month. It is Purnima or full moon night, and after a fortnight later, there will be new moon night or Amavasya, when the moon doesn't appear in the sky. If the night is clear, this day is ideal to view the night sky. Do you ever wonder why we can't see the moon or any of those tiny bright objects during the day? It's because the sun's intense brightness prevents us from seeing all those tiny bright objects in the day sky. The sun, moon, and any other objects appear in space, called celestial bodies. Some celestial bodies are enormous and extremely hot. Gases make up their composition. They produce a great deal of heat and light on their own. Stars are the names given to these celestial bodies. Our sun is also a star. The sun is like one of the many glittering lights in the night sky. However, because they are so away from us, we cannot feel their heat or light and they appear incredibly small. You must have observed that everything appears smaller from a distance. When an aeroplane is flying very high, it seems very tiny. You could spot a variety of patterns in the night sky created by distinct star groups. They are referred to as constellations. One such constellation is Ursa Major or the Big Bear. The Saptarishi, 7 sages constellation is among one of them, and which is easily recognizable. It is a collection of 7 stars that is a part of the Ursa Major constellation. With the aid of stars, people used to identify directions at night in ancient times. The North Star points in the direction of the north. The Pole Star is another name for it. It stays in the same spot in the sky at all times. With the aid of the Saptarishi, we can determine where the Pole Star is located. You will see that the Pole Star will be pointed at if an imaginary line is drawn connecting the pointer stars and is stretched farther. Some celestial planets lack heat and light on their own. They are illuminated by the starlight. These objects are known as planets. The Greek term planitia, which means wanderers, is the English word planet originates. Our home planet Earth is a planet. The sun, our nearest star, provides all of its heat and light. The Earth will appear to be shining exactly like the moon if we observe it from a long distance like the moon. For example, the moon that we see in the sky is a satellite. It is companion of our Earth and moves around it. Like our Earth, there are 7 other planets that get heat and light from the sun. Some of them have their moons too. The solar system is made up of the sun, 8 planets, satellites, and few other asteroids and meteoroids, with the sun as its head. We frequently refer to it as the solar family. The solar system's center is the sun. It is enormous and composed of incredibly hot gases. It supplies the gravitational pull that holds the solar system together. The solar system's primary source of heat and light is the Sun. Although it is our nearest star, we do not feel its intense heat very much because it is so far away from us, about 150 million kilometers between Earth and the Sun. The solar system contains 8 planets. They are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune in order of their distance from the Sun. The mnemonic for this to remember is, "My very efficient mother just served us nuts." It's a simple way to remember the names of the planets in order of their distance from the Sun. The solar system's 8 planets all follow set routes as they round the Sun. These routes are extended. They are known as orbits. Nearest to the Sun is Mercury. A whole orbital round only takes roughly 88 days to complete. Because of how much Venus resembles the planet in terms of size and appearance, it is regarded as the Earth's twin. Pluto was previously, as of August 2006, regarded as a planet. However, it was decided in a meeting of International Astronomical Union that Pluto, like other astronomical objects such as Ceres 2003, UP313, discovered recently, may be referred to as dwarf planets. The Earth is the 3rd nearest planet to the Sun. In size, it is the 5th largest planet. It is slightly flattened at the poles. That is why its shape is described as a geoid. Geoid means an Earth-like shape. Geoid is form that resembles the Earth. Only on Earth are there likely to be conditions that allow for life. The temperature of the planet is just right. It has air and water. These 2 things we absolutely need to survive. Life-sustaining gases like oxygen are present in the air. The Earth is a special planet in the solar system as a result of these factors. The Earth appears blue from space because water covers 2/3 of its surface. As a result, it is referred to as a blue planet. The Moon is the sole satellite of our planet. It merely has 4th the diameter of the Earth. Because it is closer to our planet than other celestial bodies, it appears to be much larger. About 3,84,400 kilometers separate us from it. We may now compare the distances between the Earth and the Moon and the Sun. It takes the Moon around 27 days to orbit the Earth. One spin takes precisely the same amount of time. As a result, we can only see one side of the Moon from the Earth. There are no conducive environments for life on the Moon. On its surface, there are mountains, plains and depressions. On the surface of the Moon, these create shadows. These shadows can be seen when you look at the full moon. Apart from the stars, planets and satellites, there are numerous tiny bodies which also move around the Sun. These bodies are called asteroids. They are found between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Scientists are of the view that asteroids are parts of a planet which exploded many years back. The term meteoroid refers to the tiny rocks that orbit the Sun. These meteoroids occasionally approach the Earth and have a tendency to fall upon it. Because of the friction with the air throughout this process, they become heated and burn. A bright flash results from it. Sometimes a meteor hits the Earth partially burned, leaving a hollow in its wake. Do you notice a broad, whitish band that resembles a white, shining line cutting through the night sky? Millions of stars make up this stellar cluster. Galaxy of the Milky Way is the band. This band is Milky Way galaxy. Its component is our solar system. It was thought to be a river of light flowing in the sky in prehistoric India. So it was given the name Akashganga. A galaxy is a vast collection of stars as well as dust and gaseous clouds. The universe is made up of millions of such galaxies. It is challenging to grasp just how vast the cosmos is. Researchers are currently working to learn more about it. Although we are unsure of its extent, we do know that the cosmos includes you and me.
In the previous chapter, you have read that our planet Earth is not a sphere. It is slightly flattened at the north and the south poles and bulge in the middle. Can you imagine how it looks? You may look at a globe carefully in your classroom to get an idea. Globe is a true model, which is miniature form of the Earth. Globes may be of varying size and type. Big ones, which cannot be carried easily. Small pocket globes and globe-like balloons, which can be inflated and are handy and carried with ease. The globe is not fixed. It can be rotated the same way as a top spin or a potter's wheel is rotated. On the globe, countries, continents and oceans are shown in their correct size. It is difficult to describe the location of a point on a sphere like the Earth. Now the question arises as to how to locate a place on it. We need certain points of reference and lines to find out the location of places. You will notice that a needle is fixed through the globe in a tilted manner, which is called its axis. 2 points on the globe through which the needle passes are 2 poles, North Pole and South Pole. The globe can be moved around this needle from west to east, just as the Earth moves. But remember, there is a major difference. The Earth has no such needle. It moves around its axis, which is an imaginary line. Another imaginary line running on the globe divides it into 2 equal parts. This line is known as the equator. The northern half of the Earth is known as the northern hemisphere, and the southern half of the Earth is known as southern hemisphere. They are both equal halves. Therefore, the equator is an imaginary circular line and is a very important reference point to look at places on the Earth. All parallel circles from the equator up to the poles are called parallels of latitudes. Latitudes are measured in degrees. The equator represents the 0-degree latitude. Since the distance from the equator to either of the poles is 1/4 of a circle round the Earth, it will measure 1/4 of 360 degrees, that is 90 degrees. Thus 90 degrees north latitude marks the North Pole and 90 degrees south latitude marks the South Pole. As such, all parallels north of the equator are called north latitudes. Similarly, all parallels south of the equator are called south latitudes. The value of each latitude is therefore followed by either the word north or south. Generally, this is indicated by the letter N or S. For example, both Chandrapur in Maharashtra in India and Belo Horizonte in Brazil in South America are located on parallels of about 20 degrees latitude. But the former is 20 degrees north of the equator and the latter is 20 degrees south of it. We therefore say that Chandrapur is situated at 20 degrees north latitude and Belo Horizonte is situated at 20 degrees south latitude. We can see in this figure that as we move away from the equator, the size of the parallels of latitude decreases. Besides the equator, which is 0 degree, the North Pole is 90 degrees north and the South Pole is 90 degrees south. There are 4 important parallels of latitudes. First one is Tropic of Cancer, which is 23.5 degrees north in the northern hemisphere. Second one is Tropic of Capricorn, which is 23.5 degrees south in the southern hemisphere. Third one is Arctic Circle at 66.5 degrees north of the equator. And the fourth one is Antarctic Circle at 66.5 degrees south of the equator. The midday sun is exactly overhead at least once a year on all latitudes in between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. This area therefore receives the maximum heat and is called the torrid zone. The midday sun never shines overhead on any latitude beyond the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. The angle of the sun's rays goes on decreasing towards the poles. As such, the areas bounded by the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere and the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle in the southern hemisphere have moderate temperatures. These are therefore called temperate zones. Areas lying between the Arctic Circle and the North Pole in the northern hemisphere and the Antarctic Circle and the South Pole in the southern hemisphere are very cold. It is because here the sun does not rise much above the horizon. Therefore, its rays are always slanting and provide less heat. These are therefore called frigid zones, which are very cold. To fix the position of a place, it is necessary to know something more than the latitude of that place. You can see, for example, that Tonga Islands in the Pacific Ocean and Mauritius Islands in the Indian Ocean are situated on the same latitude, that is 20 degrees south. Now, in order to locate them precisely, we must find out how far east or west these places are from a given line of reference running from the North Pole to the South Pole. These lines of references are called the meridians of longitude, and the distances between them are measured in degrees of longitude. Each degree is further divided into minutes and minutes into seconds. They are semicircles, and the distance between them decreases steadily polewards until it becomes zero at the poles, where all the meridians meet. Unlike parallels of latitude, all meridians are of equal length. Thus, it was difficult to number the meridians. Hence, all countries decided that the count should begin from the meridian which passed through Greenwich, where the British Royal Observatory is located. This meridian is called the prime meridian. Its value is 0 degree longitude, and from it we count 180 degree eastward as well as 180 degree westward. The prime meridian and 180 degree meridian divide the earth into two equal halves, the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. Therefore, the longitude of a place is followed by the letter E for the east and W for the west. It is, however, interesting to note that 180 degree east and 180 degree west meridians are on the same line. Now look at the grid of the parallels of latitude and meridians of longitude on the globe. You can locate any point on the globe very easily if you know its latitude and longitude. For example, Dhubri in Assam is situated at 26 degrees north latitude and 90 degrees east longitude. Find out the point where these two lines cut each other. That point will be the location of Dhubri. To understand this clearly, draw equidistant vertical and horizontal lines on the paper. Label the vertical rows with the numbers and horizontal rows with letters. Draw some small circles randomly on points where these horizontal and vertical lines intersect with each other. Name these small circles as A, B, C, D, and E. Let vertical lines represent east longitudes and horizontal lines as north latitudes. Now you will see that circle A is located on B degrees north latitude and 1 degree east longitude. Find out the location of other circles. The best means of measuring time is by the movement of the earth, the moon, and the planets. The sun regularly rises and sets every day, and naturally it is the best timekeeper throughout the world. Local time can be reckoned by the shadow cast by the sun, which is the shortest at noon and longest at sunrise and sunset. When the prime meridian of Greenwich has the sun at the highest point in the sky, all the places along this meridian will have midday or noon. As the earth rotates from west to east, those places east of Greenwich will be ahead of Greenwich time, and those to the west will be behind it. The rate of difference can be calculated as follows. The earth rotates 360 degrees in about 24 hours, which means 15 degrees an hour or 1 degree in 4 minutes. Thus, when it is 12 noon at Greenwich, the time at 15 degrees east of Greenwich will be 15 into 4 is equal to 60 minutes. That is 1 hour ahead of Greenwich time, which means 1 p.m. But at 15 degrees west of Greenwich, the time will be behind Greenwich time by 1 hour. That is, it will be 11 a.m. Similarly, at 180 degrees, it will be midnight when it is 12 noon at Greenwich. At any place, a watch can be adjusted to read 12 o'clock when the sun is at the highest point in the sky. That is when it is the midday. The time shown by such a watch will give the local time for that place. You can see that all the places on a given meridian of longitude have the same local time. The local time of places which are on different meridians are bound to differ. For example, it will be difficult to prepare a timetable for trains which cross several longitudes. In India, for instance, there will be a difference of about 1 hour and 45 minutes in the local times of Dwarka in Gujarat and Dibrugarh in Assam. It is therefore necessary to adopt the local time of the central meridian of a country as the standard time for the country. In India, the longitude of 82.5 degrees east, which is 82 degrees and 30 minutes east, is treated as the standard meridian. The local time at this meridian is taken as the standard time for the whole country. It is known as the Indian Standard Time, IST. India, located east of Greenwich at 82 degrees 30 minutes east, is 5 hours and 30 minutes ahead of global mean time. Some countries have a great longitudinal extent, and so they have adopted more than one standard time. For example, in Russia, there are as many as 11 standard times. The Earth has been divided into 24 time zones of 1 hour each. Each zone thus covers 15 degrees of longitude. As you know that the Earth has two types of motions, namely rotation and revolution. Rotation is the movement of the Earth on its axis. The movement of the Earth around the Sun in a fixed path or orbit is called revolution. The axis of the Earth, which is an imaginary line, makes an angle of 66.5 degrees with its orbital plane. The plane formed by the orbit is known as the orbital plane. The Earth receives light from the Sun. Due to the spherical shape of the Earth, only half of it gets light from the Sun at a time. The portion facing the Sun experiences day, while the other half away from the sun experiences night. The circle that divides the day from night on the globe is called the circle of illumination. This circle does not coincide with the axis as you see in this figure. The Earth takes about 24 hours to complete one rotation around its axis. The period of rotation is known as the Earth Day. This is the daily motion of the Earth. What would happen if the Earth did not rotate? The portion of the Earth facing the sun would always experience day, thus bringing continuous warmth to the region. The other half would remain in darkness and be freezing cold all the time. Life would not have been possible in such extreme conditions. The second motion of the Earth around the sun in its orbit is called revolution. It takes 365 and 1/4 days, which is 1 year, to revolve around the sun. We consider a year as consisting of 365 days only and ignore 6 hours for the sake of convenience. 6 hours saved every year are added to make 1 day, which is of 24 hours over a span of 4 years. This surplus day is added to the month of February. Thus, every 4th year, February is of 29 days instead of 28 days. Such a year with 366 days is called a leap year. Find out when will the next leap year will be. From the figure, it is clear that the Earth is going around the sun in an elliptical orbit. Notice that throughout its orbit, the Earth is inclined in the same direction. A year is usually divided into summer, winter, spring, and autumn seasons. Seasons change due to the change in the position of the Earth around the sun. Look at this figure. You will see that on 21st June, the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. The rays of the sun fall directly on the Tropic of Cancer. As a result, these areas receive more heat. The areas near the poles receive less heat as the rays of the sun are slanting. The North Pole is inclined towards the sun and the places beyond the Arctic Circle experiences continuous daylight for about 6 months. Since a large portion of the northern hemisphere is getting light from the sun, it is summer in the regions north of the equator. The longest day and the shortest night at these places occur on 21st June. At this time in the southern hemisphere, all these conditions are reversed. It is winter season there. The nights are longer than the days. This position of the Earth is called the summer solstice. On 22nd December, the Tropic of Capricorn receives direct rays of the sun as South Pole tilted towards it. As the sun's rays fall vertically at the Tropic of Capricorn, which is 23.5 degrees south, a larger portion of the southern hemisphere gets light. Therefore, it is summer in the southern hemisphere, with longer days and shorter nights. The reverse happens in the northern hemisphere. This position of the Earth is called the winter solstice. Do you know that Christmas is celebrated in Australia in the summer season? On 21st March and September 23rd, direct rays of the sun fall on the equator. At this position, neither the poles is tilted towards the sun, so the whole Earth experiences equal days and equal nights. This is called an equinox. On 23rd September, it is autumn season in the northern hemisphere and spring season in the southern hemisphere. The opposite is the case on 21st March, when it is spring in the northern hemisphere and autumn in the southern hemisphere. Thus you find that there are days and nights and changes in the seasons because of the rotation and revolution of the Earth respectively. Maps. You have learnt in the previous chapter about the advantages of a globe. However, globe has limitations as well. A globe can be useful when we want to study the Earth as a whole. But when we want to study only a part of the Earth, as about our country, states, districts, towns, and villages, it is of little help. In such a situation, we use maps. A map is a representation or a drawing of the Earth's surface or a part of it drawn on a flat surface according to a scale. But it is impossible to flatten a round shape completely. We find that maps are useful to us for various purposes. One map shows a small area and a few facts. Another map may contain as many facts as a big book. When many maps are put together, we get an atlas. Atlases are of various sizes, measurements drawn on different scales. Maps provide more information than a globe. They are of different types. Some of them are described below. Physical maps. Maps showing natural features of the Earth such as mountains, plateaus, plains, rivers, oceans, etc. are called physical or relief maps. Political maps. Maps showing cities, towns and villages and different countries and states of the world with their boundaries are called political maps. Thematic maps. Some maps focus on specific information, such as road maps, rainfall maps, maps showing distribution of forests, industries, etc. are known as thematic maps. Suitable titles are given on the basis of information provided in these maps. There are three components of maps: distance, direction, and symbol. Distance. Maps are drawings which reduce the entire world or a part of it to fit on a sheet of paper. Or we can say maps are drawn to reduced scales, but this reduction is done very carefully so that the distance between the places is real. It can only be possible when a small distance on paper represents a large distance on the ground. Therefore, a scale is chosen for this purpose. Scale is the ratio between the actual distance on the ground and the distance shown on the map. For example, the distance between your school and your home is 10 kilometers. If you show this 10 kilometers distance by 2 cm on a map, it means 1 cm on the map will be shown as 5 kilometers. On the ground, the scale of your drawing will be 1 cm is equal to 5 kilometers. The scale is very important in any map. If you know the scale, you will be able to calculate the distances between any two places on a map. When large areas like continents or countries are to be shown on paper, then we use a small scale. For example, 5 centimeters on the map shows 500 kilometers of the ground. It is called a small scale map. When a small area like your village or town is to be shown on paper, then we use a large scale that is 5 cm on the map shows 500 meters only on the ground. It is called a large scale map. Large scale maps give more information than small scale maps. Direction. Most maps contain an arrow marked with the letter N at the upper right hand corner. This arrow shows the north direction. It is called the north line. When you know that the north, you can find out other directions, for example east, west and south. There are 4 major directions: north, south, east and west. They are called cardinal points. Other 4 intermediate directions are northeast, southeast, southwest and northwest. We can locate any place more accurately with the help of these intermediate directions. Find out the following directions from the figure. A. The direction of the community center, the playground from Vikas's house. B. The direction of the school from shops. We can find out the direction of place with the help of a compass. It is an instrument used to find out main directions. Its magnetic needle always points towards north-south direction. Symbols. It is the third important component of a map. It is not possible to draw on a map the actual shape and size of different features such as buildings, roads, bridges, trees, railway lines, or a whale. So they are shown by using certain letters, shades, colors, pictures, and lines. These symbols give a lot of information in a limited space. With the use of these symbols, maps can be drawn easily and are simple to read. Even if you don't know the language of an area and therefore cannot ask someone for directions, you can collect information from maps with the help of these symbols. Maps have a universal language that can be understood by all. There is an international agreement regarding the use of these symbols. These are called conventional symbols. Some of the conventional symbols are shown in this figure. Various colors are used for the same purpose. For example, generally blue is used for showing water bodies, brown for mountains, yellow for plateau, and green is used for plains. Sketch. A sketch is a drawing mainly based on memory and spot observation and not to scale. Sometimes a rough drawing is required of an area to tell where a particular place is located with respect to other places. Suppose you want to go to your friend's house, but you don't know the way. Your friend may make a rough drawing to show the way to his house. Such a rough drawing is drawn without scale and is called a sketch map. Plan. A plan is a drawing of a small area on a large scale. A large-scale map gives a lot of information, but there are certain things which we may sometimes want to know, for example, the length and breadth of a room, which can't be shown in a map. At that time, we can refer drawings drawn to scale called a plan.
Major domains of the Earth. As you have read in the first chapter, the Earth is the only planet which has life. Human beings can live here because the life-sustaining elements of land, water, and air are present on the Earth. The surface of the Earth is a complex zone in which three main components of the environment meet, overlap, and interact. The solid portion of the Earth on which we live is called the lithosphere. The gaseous layers that surround the Earth is the atmosphere, where oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and other gases are found. Water covers a very big area of the Earth's surface, and this area is called the hydrosphere. The hydrosphere comprises water in all its forms, that is, ice, water, and water vapor. The biosphere is the narrow zone where we find land, water, and air together, which contains all forms of life. Lithosphere. The solid portion of the Earth is called the lithosphere. It comprises the rocks of the Earth's crust and the thin layers of soil that contain nutrient elements which sustain organisms. There are two main divisions of the Earth's surface. The large land masses are known as the continents, and the huge water bodies are called the ocean basins. All the oceans of the world are connected with one another. Look at this map of the world. Are all the land masses connected with one another? The level of seawater remains the same everywhere. Elevation of land is measured from the sea level, which is taken as 0. The highest mountain peak, Mount Everest, is 8,848 meters above the sea level. The greatest depth of 11,022 meters is recorded at Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean. Could you imagine that depth of sea is much more than the highest point? Continents. There are 7 major continents. These are separated by large water bodies. These continents are Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America, Australia, and Antarctica. Look at this map of the world. And notice that the greater part of the landmass lies in the northern hemisphere. Asia is the largest continent. It covers about 1/3 of the total land area of the Earth. The continent lies in the eastern hemisphere. The Tropic of Cancer passes through this continent. Asia is separated from Europe by the Ural Mountains on the west. The combined landmass of Europe and Asia is called the Eurasia, Europe plus Asia. Europe is much smaller than Asia. The continent lies to the west of Asia. The Arctic Circle passes through it. It is bound by water bodies on 3 sides. Look at this map of the world and locate it. Africa is the second largest continent after Asia. The equator, or 0 degrees latitude, runs almost through the middle of this continent. A large part of Africa lies in the northern hemisphere. Look at this figure. You will find that it is the only continent through which the Tropic of Cancer, the equator, and the Tropic of Capricorn pass. The Sahara Desert, the world's largest hot desert, is located in Africa. The continent is bound on all sides by oceans and seas. Look at the world map. You will notice that the world's longest river, the Nile, flows through Africa. Notice where the equator, the Tropic of Cancer, and the Tropic of Capricorn pass in the map of Africa. North America is the third largest continent of the world. It is linked to the South America by a very narrow strip of land called the Isthmus of Panama. The continent lies completely in the northern and western hemisphere. 3 oceans surround this continent. Can you name these oceans? South America lies mostly in the southern hemisphere. These 2 oceans surround it on the east and the west. The Andes, world's longest mountain range, runs through its length from north to south. South America has the world's largest river, the Amazon. Australia is the smallest continent that lies entirely in the southern hemisphere. It is surrounded on all sides by the oceans and seas. It is called an island continent. Antarctica, completely in the southern hemisphere, is a huge continent. The South Pole lies almost at the center of this continent. As it is located in the South Polar region, it is permanently covered with thick ice sheets. There are no permanent human settlements. Many countries have research stations in the Antarctica. India also has research stations there. These are named as Maitri and Dakshin Gangotri. Hydrosphere. The Earth is called the blue planet. More than 71% of the Earth is covered with water and 29% is with land. Hydrosphere consists of water in all its forms, as running water in the oceans and rivers and in lakes, ice in glaciers, underground water, and the water vapor in the atmosphere. All comprise the hydrosphere. More than 97% of the Earth's water is found in the oceans and is too salty for human use. A large proportion of the rest of the water is in the form of ice sheets and glaciers or under the ground, and a very small percentage is available as fresh water for human use. Hence, despite being a blue planet, we face a shortage of water. Oceans. Oceans are the major part of hydrosphere. They are all interconnected. The ocean waters are always moving. The 3 chief movements of ocean waters are the waves, the tides, and the ocean currents. The 5 major oceans are the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, the Southern Ocean, and the Arctic Ocean in order of their size. The Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean. It is spread over 1/3 of the Earth. Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the Earth, lies in the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean is almost circular in shape. Asia, Australia, North and South America surround it. Look at this map and find out the location of the continents around the Pacific Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is the second largest ocean in the world. It is S-shaped. It is flanked by the North and the South Americas on the western side and Europe and Africa on the eastern side. The coastline of Atlantic Ocean is highly indented. This irregular and indented coastline provides ideal location for natural harbors and ports. From the point of view of the commerce, it is the busiest ocean. The Indian Ocean is the only ocean named after a country, that is India. The shape of ocean is almost triangular. In the north, it is bound by Asia, in the west by Africa, and in the east by Australia. The Southern Ocean encircles the continent of Antarctica and extends northward to 60 degrees south latitude. The Arctic Ocean is located within the Arctic Circle and surrounds the North Pole. It is connected with the Pacific Ocean by a narrow stretch of shallow water known as Bering Strait. It is bound by northern coasts of North America and Eurasia. Atmosphere. The Earth is surrounded by a layer of gas called the atmosphere. This thin blanket of air is an integral and important aspect of the planet. It provides us with the air we breathe and protects us from the harmful effects of sun's rays. The atmosphere extends up to a height of about 1,600 kilometers. The atmosphere is divided into 5 layers based on composition, temperature, and other properties. These layers starting from Earth's surface are called the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, the thermosphere, and the exosphere. The atmosphere is composed mainly of nitrogen and oxygen, which make up about 99% of clean, dry air. Nitrogen 78%, oxygen 21%, and other gases like carbon dioxide argon, and others comprises 1% by volume. Oxygen is the breath of life, while nitrogen helps in the growth of living organisms. Carbon dioxide, though present in minute amount, is important as it absorbs heat radiated by the earth, thereby keeping the planet warm. It is also essential for the growth of the plants. The density of the atmosphere varies with height. It is maximum at the sea level and decreases rapidly as we go up. The climbers experience problems in breathing due to this decrease in the density of air. They have to carry with them oxygen cylinders to be able to breathe at high altitudes. The temperature also decreases as we go upwards. The atmosphere exerts pressure on the earth. This varies from place to place. Some areas experience high pressure and some areas low pressure. Air moves from high pressure to low pressure. Moving air is known as wind. Biosphere, the domain of life. The biosphere is the narrow zone of contact between the land, water, and air. It is in this zone that life that is unique to this planet exists. There are several species of organisms that vary in size from microbes and bacteria to huge mammals. All the living organisms, including humans, are linked to each other and to the biosphere for survival. The organisms in the biosphere may broadly be divided into the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom. The three domains of the earth interact with each other and affect each other in some way or the other. For example, cutting of forests for fulfilling our needs of wood or cleaning land for agriculture may lead to fast removal of soil from slopes. Similarly, Earth's surface may be changed due to natural calamities like earthquakes. For example, there could be submersions of land, as happened in the case of tsunami recently. Parts of Andaman and Nicobar Islands were submerged underwater. Discharge of waste material into lakes and rivers makes the water unsuitable for human use. It also damages other forms of life. Emission from industries, thermal power plants, and vehicles pollute the air. Carbon dioxide, CO2, is an important constituent of air. But increase in the amount of CO2 leads to increase in global temperatures. This is termed as global warming. There is thus a need to limit the use of resources of the earth to maintain the balance of nature between the domains of the lithosphere, the atmosphere, and the hydrosphere. Major landforms of the earth. You must have seen some of the landform features as shown in this figure. You will notice that the surface of the earth is not the same everywhere. The earth has an infinite variety of landforms. Some parts of the lithosphere may be rugged and some flat. These landforms are a result of two processes. You will be amazed to know that the ground you are standing on is slowly moving. Within the earth, a continuous movement is taking place. The first, or the internal process, leads to the upliftment and sinking of the Earth's surface at several places. The second, or the external process, is the continuous wearing down and rebuilding of the land surface. The wearing away of the Earth's surface is called erosion. The surface is being lowered by the process of erosion and rebuilt by the process of deposition. These two processes are carried out by running water, ice, and wind. Broadly, we can group different landforms depending on elevation and slope as mountains, plateaus, and plains. Mountains. A mountain is any natural elevation of the Earth's surface. The mountains may have a small summit and a broad base. It is considerably higher than the surrounding area. Some mountains are even higher than the clouds. As you go higher, the climate becomes colder. In some mountains, there are permanently frozen rivers of ice. They are called glaciers. There are some mountains you cannot see as they are under the sea. Because of harsh climate, less people live in the mountain areas. Since the slopes are steep, less land is available for farming. Mountains may be arranged in a line known as range. Many mountain systems consist of a series of parallel ranges extending over hundreds of kilometers. The Himalayas, the Alps, and the Andes are mountain ranges of Asia, Europe, South America, respectively. Mountains vary in their heights and shape. There are three types of mountains: fold mountains, block mountains, and the volcanic mountains. The Himalayan mountains and the Alps are young fold mountains with rugged relief and high conical peaks. The Aravalli Range in India is one of the oldest fold mountain systems in the world. The range has considerably worn down due to the process of erosion. The Appalachians in North America and the Ural Mountains in Russia have rounded features and low elevation. They are very old fold mountains. Block mountains are created when the large areas are broken and displaced vertically. The uplifted blocks are termed as horsts, and the lowered blocks are called graben. The Rhine Valley and the Vosges Mountain in Europe are examples of such mountain systems. Look at them on the world map in the atlas and find out some more examples of this type of landforms. Volcanic mountains are formed due to volcanic activity. Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa and Mount Fujiyama in Japan are examples of such mountains. Mountains are very useful. The mountains are a storehouse of water. Many rivers have their source in the glaciers in the mountains. Reservoirs are made and the water is harnessed for the use of people. Water from the mountains is also used for irrigation and generation of hydroelectricity. The river valleys and the terraces are ideal for cultivation of crops. Mountains have a rich variety of flora and fauna. The forests provide fuel, fodder, shelter, and other products like gum, raisins, etc. Mountains provide an idyllic site for tourists. They visit the mountains for their scenic beauty. Several sports like paragliding, hang gliding, river rafting, and skiing are popular in the mountains. Can you name some places in the Himalayas associated with these sports? Plateaus. A plateau is an elevated flat land. It is a flat-topped tableland standing above the surrounding area. A plateau may have one or more sides with steep slopes. The height of plateaus often varies from few hundred meters to several thousand meters. Plateaus, like mountains, may be young or old. The Deccan Plateau in India is one of the oldest plateaus. The East African Plateau in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, and the Western Plateau of Australia are other examples. The Tibetan Plateau is the highest plateau in the world with a height of 4,000 to 6,000 meters above the mean sea level. Plateaus are very useful because they are rich in mineral deposits. As a result, many of the mining areas in the world are located in the plateaus areas. The African Plateau is famous for gold and diamond mining. In India, huge reserves of iron, coal, and manganese are found in the Chota Nagpur Plateau. In plateau areas, there may be several waterfalls as the river falls from a great height. In India, the Hundru Falls in the Chota Nagpur Plateau on the river Subarnarekha and the Jog Falls in Karnataka are examples of such waterfalls. The lava plateaus are rich in black soil that are fertile and good for cultivation. Many plateaus have scenic spots and are of great attraction to the tourists. Plains. Plains are large stretches of flat land. They are generally not more than 200 meters above mean sea level. Some plains are extremely level. Others may be slightly rolling and undulating. Most of the plains are formed by rivers and their tributaries. The rivers flow down the slopes of mountains and erode them. They carry forward the eroded material. Then they deposit their load consisting of stones, sand, and silt along their courses and in their valleys. It is from these deposits that plains are formed. Generally, plains are very fertile. Construction of transport network is easy. Thus, these plains are very thickly populated regions of the world. Some of the largest plains made by the rivers are found in Asia and North America. For example, in Asia, these plains are formed by the Ganga and the Brahmaputra in India and the Yangtze in China. Plains are the most useful areas of human habitation. There is a great concentration of people as more flat land is available for building houses, as well as for cultivation. Because of fertile soils, the land is highly productive for cultivation. In India too, the Indo-Gangetic Plains are the most densely populated regions of the country. Landforms and the people. Humans have been living on different kinds of landforms in different ways. Life is difficult in mountainous areas. Plains provide much better conditions. It is easy to grow crops, build a house or a road in a plain than a mountain. Can you point out some differences in the ways people live on different kinds of landforms? Sometimes natural calamities such as earthquakes, volcanic eruption, storms and floods cause widespread destruction. Huge loss of life and property takes place. By creative awareness about such incidences, we may lower the risks. You may find out from your own surroundings in how many ways we use land and water. Quite often, we use land in a wasteful manner. For example, constructing houses on a fertile land. Similarly, we throw garbage on land or in water, making them dirty. We should avoid using such important gifts of nature in a careless manner. The available land is not only for our use. It is our duty to leave the earth a better place for future generations as well. Our country, India. India is a country of vast geographical expanse. In the north, it is bounded by the lofty Himalayas, the Arabian Sea in the west, the Bay of Bengal in the east, and the Indian Ocean in the south wash the shores of the Indian peninsula. India has an area of about 3.28 million square kilometers. The north-south extent from Ladakh to Kanyakumari is about 3,200 kilometers, and the east-west extent from Arunachal Pradesh to Kutch is about 2,900 kilometers. The lofty mountains, the great Indian desert, the northern plains, the uneven plateau surface, and the coasts and islands present a diversity of landforms. There is a great variety in the climate, vegetation, wildlife, as well as in the language and culture. In this diversity, we find unity that is reflected in traditions that bind us as one nation. India has a population of more than 120 crores since the year 2011. It is the second most populous country of the world after China. Locational setting. India is located in the northern hemisphere. The Tropic of Cancer, 23 degree and 30 minutes north, passes almost halfway through the country. From south to the north, mainland of India extends between 8 degree 4 minutes north and 37 degree 6 minutes north latitudes. From west to east, India extends between 68 degree 7 minutes east and 97 degrees 25 minutes east longitudes. If we divide the world into eastern and western hemispheres, which hemispheres would India belong to? Due to great longitudinal extent of about 29 degrees, there could be a wide differences in local time of places located at two extreme points of India. As such, the difference between these 2 points would be of about 2 hours. As you have learned earlier, the local time changes by 4 minutes for every 1 degree of longitude. The sun rises about 2 hours earlier in the east, Arunachal Pradesh, than in the west, Gujarat. You have already read earlier why the local time of longitude of 82 degrees and 30 minutes east has been taken as the Indian Standard Time. This meridian or longitude is also termed as the Standard Meridian of India. India's neighbors. There are 7 countries that share land boundaries with India. Find out names of these countries from the figure. How many of these countries do not have access to any ocean or sea? Across the sea to the south lie our island neighbors Sri Lanka and Maldives. Sri Lanka is separated from India by the Palk Strait. Political and administrative divisions. India is a vast country.
For an administrative purpose,
The country is divided into 28 states and 8 union territories. Delhi is the national capital. The states have been formed mainly on the basis of languages. Physical divisions. India is marked by a diversity of physical features such as mountains, plateaus, plains, coasts, and islands. Standing as sentinels in the north are the lofty snow-capped Himalayas. Him plus Alaya mean the abode of snow. The Himalayan mountains are divided into 3 main parallel ranges. The northmost is the Great Himalaya or Himadri. The world's highest peaks are located in this range. Middle Himalaya or Himachal lies to the south of Himadri. Many popular hill stations are situated here. Find out the names of 5 hill stations. The Shivalik is the southernmost range. The northern Indian plains lie to the south of the Himalayas. They are generally level and flat. These are formed by the alluvial deposits laid down by the rivers the Indus, the Ganga, the Brahmaputra, and their tributaries. These river plains provide fertile land for cultivation. That is the reason for high concentration of population in these plains. In the western part of India lies the Great Indian Desert. It is a dry, hot, and sandy stretch of land. It has very little vegetation. To the south of northern plains lies the peninsular plateau. It is triangular in shape. The relief is highly uneven. This is a region with numerous hill ranges and valleys. Aravalli Hills, one of the oldest ranges of the world, border it on the northwest side. The Vindhyas and the Satpuras are the important ranges. The rivers Narmada and Tapi flow through these ranges. These are west-flowing rivers that drain into the Arabian Sea. The Western Ghats or Sahyadris border the plateau in the west and the Eastern Ghats provide the eastern boundary. While the Western Ghats are almost continuous, the Eastern Ghats are broken and uneven. The plateau is rich in minerals like coal and iron ore. To the west of the Western Ghats and the east of Eastern Ghats lie the coastal plains. The western coastal plains are very narrow. The eastern coastal plains are much broader. There are a number of east-flowing rivers. The rivers Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, and Kaveri drain into the Bay of Bengal. These rivers have formed fertile deltas at their mouth. The Sundarban Delta is formed where the Ganga and Brahmaputra flow into the Bay of Bengal. 2 groups of islands also form part of India. Lakshadweep Islands are located in the Arabian Sea. These are coral islands located off the coast of Kerala. The Andaman and the Nicobar Islands lie to the southeast of the Indian mainland in the Bay of Bengal. Do you know which group of islands were affected by the tsunami in 2004? Find out through newspaper reports and by speaking to the people how in different ways people face these challenges when tsunami struck the Indian coast. Tsunami is a huge sea wave generated due to an earthquake on the sea floor.
so thanks for watching. See you in the next video.